Hello, everybody, and welcome to Council Checkup. I'm your host, Don Walmsley, and sitting in the chair across from me is our current mayor, Blake McCutcheon. Welcome, Blake.
A good word, current.
I was just going to say, I use the word current for a reason, and that's we're coming to the end of Mayor Blake's term. That's this current council's term. A new council will be elected in October, and Blake has indicated that he is not running for mayor for a second term, and we may get into that a little bit later on. But right now, let's talk about what's been happening.
Okay, I can't remember the last time we had a council checkup. It's been a while, eh?
Well, it was...
probably June, eh?
It would have been June.
Okay, all right, so let's see. I don't know, where should we start? I mean, you know what? Obviously, we've always got lots on the go. I've had a lot of questions lately about Park Lake. So people really wanted to know what was happening there because we had all the tenders went out and everything was kind of ready to go. And then what happened was I think we had 14 contractors bid on it. They're all big contractors from outside Neepawa, and they all came back over what the federal government actually authorized. So then the problem would be if we accept any of those tenders, the town would be on the hook. So they were actually, we went back to the federal government, and I thought the province of Manitoba was 10%, but I was wrong. It's 100% funded by the federal government. So anyhow, they said, no, we want this to happen, and we will match the lowest tender. So the lowest tender was $11 million.
You're joking.
I joke you not.
To put up a barrier.
But don't forget about the dam.
Well, yeah, but it's not the Boulder Dam.
I know. Anyhow,
good Lord, that's a lot.
It's a tremendous amount of money, isn't it? Anyhow, it was approved. We signed off on it on the council on Tuesday, and they will start construction this fall.
Okay.
So and I think people are very excited to see that. And you know what? It's a twofold thing here because it's not just about flood. It's about drought too, right? Because I mean, they're visualizing that we might be coming into drought years too, right? Yeah. So I mean, the park. It's a double. Anyhow, you're right. Everybody at the council table went $11 million.
Well, it's nice that the federal government sees a reason for it. And I think environmentally, there's always been an argument to make for it. And I think the decision that says take it back to what it was, which was essentially a conservational spot, I have no problems with. I tell you, as a resident of Neepawa, really miss the fall water birds coming back and during the summer. So it'll be nice to see. Yeah, and I think I just want to make that point, and we talked about it at the council table, and it was on camera. So, but it can't be a freshwater. Like people go, well, why don't we make it so you can swim in it? Why don't we make it so you can't? There's not enough water movement during the summer, so we have to accept it. We've actually got the government convinced, because you're right, you can only take it back to what it was. Anything extra above that would be the town's responsibility. But we did sneak in some little runways around the outside that you'd be able to put canoes and that type of thing on, kayaks on. Oh, really?
So,
okay, that's nice.
So that's good. I mean, the RCMP build is complete.
It's complete now.
It's complete.
And when is its grand opening?
Well, you know what? And it's just a fit. No, I'm good with it. We're now in the blackout of election.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I hear you.
So you know what? It wouldn't make any difference to me because I'm not running. But so anyhow, it can't happen now till November. But we did have a tour, and it is spectacular. But I mean, you also got to remember it's 3 times as big as the one they're in now.
Well, and it's servicing a larger area.
Well, it could be, yes.
Because, well, remember, the area back when that building was built was not nearly as large.
No, I see what you're saying.
And it's grown over time, and it may continue to grow.
And they built this so that if a detachment somewhere around is closed,
it could all fold it in there. Oh, that's really nice.
So it's really nice.
Now, I heard a concerned citizen say, you got to go through a back street or past the fire department to get in there. But there
will be a
road into there already around.
Yeah.
Before the
before
the block.
Yes.
Before the.
But you're right. That probably will be the normal way in. Though would be past the fire hall. That would be the most logical way.
But I don't think you can get in there that way.
Oh yeah, that's the way we went in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's not bad. I mean. And if you come around the backside, you could do that too, and then walk around. But the backside is where the garage is, and that's where they bring the people in that are in the car, right, and take them out. And yeah, it's amazing. I mean, technology. Oh my God! Like
so, what's our complement of RCMP officers now?
That's a good question. I don't know that. I'm thinking 1, 2, 3 that we paid for. I'm thinking 7 or 8, maybe more. I shouldn't have done. I don't know that.
Well, because they do carry it from other areas, and clearly, a station of that size is going to become more of a hub.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Which makes sense. Yeah. When you're looking at a rural area, it's so hard to keep those. Yeah. In this day and age, it's harder to keep. Like you used to have a detachment at Minnedosa or Gladstone.
Yeah, absolutely.
That went years and years. McCreary, and those small ones are now being folded.
Like our staff sergeant here is Colby Argue. He lives in Brandon, but actually he isn't. They've now just what you said folded in Minnedosa into him. So he is actually staff sergeant for Minnedosa and Neepawa.
Well, that covers a fairly big territory.
So
they do
absolutely. So that's so that's good. I think most people. I hope most people are aware that the bike park, the back 40, we received a $500,000 grant from the federal government. Yeah. And that's an interesting one. And that again, I get offended by our governments for they kind of let us hang out to dry. Like we knew this grant was in the pipeline. We knew we were going to get it. But we are not allowed to speak about it. We're not allowed to talk about it till they announce. So there was a lot of people this year going like, what are you guys doing out there? Like it looks like a jungle out there, right? You know.
I heard a lot of those comments.
I know, and obviously the reason was any money we spent would not be allowed to be applied to the $500,000 we were getting.
So that would have been again on taxpayers.
Absolutely. So we were just hanging out. So now we have our money, and then we'll get back in the game again. But it's unfortunate when that occurs, right? What else do we have? Streets, of course. Again, that's been we've taken a lot of hits over Davidson Street, which goes by the Kin2 and the Royal Bank.
But they're working on there now.
They are, but I mean, they promised us they'd be here last fall. And I mean, I appreciate we live in the pandemic world. And the problem we have is we apply penalties and they don't even care. They have so much work. Like if you were to say to them, we're done, we're going to get somebody else, we'd wait another 2 years because there's just no one out there that does this type of work right now. It's just like every other piece
and I'm sure like every other business of that size, they're having difficulty getting
absolutely
employees.
Yeah. So anyhow, good for Denis. He finally got them here. And so they'd done all the curb work. And
I noticed that. Nice.
And we did the little piece on Commerce Street. Okay. That's already been paved. Commerce Street, out towards Highway 5. I don't know if you've driven down it yet or not, but there's a piece that's paved there now.
Okay.
Yeah, between Highway 5 and I would say where Alec Drama is, 3rd Street.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's 3rd Street. Yeah, that's been done, so that's really nice. They're reconfiguring that whole area around the Yellowhead Arena.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we're straightening that up. We're going to make it look the way it should look. You won't be able to just drive willy-nilly in there. You're going to have
There'll be an entrance and an exit.
Yeah, you have to come in on Commerce and Williams. So I love that idea. So
there's a lot of work being done this summer and fall
and
especially.
And then of course the other people keep saying like, what happened to our tennis courts? What happened to our pickleball courts? But that's the same crew. So now that they're here, we anticipate that if they're going to do Commerce and then they're going to do Davidson, they're going to do our pickleball and tennis court, right? Anyhow, so that's being done. And then we got a few patched areas going on. We are right now in the process of reconfiguring Mill Street there, not there, but the water and sewer, because that's where that big 40 units approximately apartment block got built in the old Murray property, beside the
right there, blocked off my view of the valley.
Yes, I apologize. That one. I apologize for that. Yeah. So anyhow, that's all being reconfigured because there is a potential for another unit behind the Big Apple store, the Apple store. There is so that's all. So Murray, Denise been working on that, so that's getting done. What else do we have? The pool, of course. Anyone read the thumbs down and the banner? We're doing a terrible job there of not getting the water slide in a timely manner. But from our point of view, I guess we really thought we should wait for the pool to close before we actually took away any summer swimming or any summer activities.
So will that start this fall?
It's already started.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? I can understand people's exuberance. Is going to happen, but of course, whenever you announce something's going to happen, you always get individuals are when now it's too late. It should be happening now.
I know.
When you're not in the know, it's really hard to accept the fact that there are things outside of your control.
Oh, absolutely.
And I agree. People need to swim, and logically, waiting until the pool closed and then starting made the best. Otherwise, you'd have to close the pool.
Well, that would have made no sense, right?
No.
So no, I'm very comfortable with our
Yeah.
decision. What else? Go ahead.
I was just going to, you keep thinking, but I'm going to throw out the gasifier.
Oh, the gasifier. Okay, so we're really close.
Okay.
And it actually might, no, it won't fire up before I leave. But we have actually, I had all the approval now from.
Oh, so the province has come and finished all that?
Provinces signed off on all that.
Okay.
So now we're just down to the person that built it for us.
Yes, there were some issues there.
Yeah, issues, but it's also just a working agreement.
Oh, okay.
So you know what? Then an agreement was always there.
Yeah.
So it's just finalizing it. The agreement was basically saying we own it, they have the intellectual property, and so that we're getting in those final stages now. And so I guess we'll see. Yeah, it's amazing, eh?
Because I must admit, just as an aside, the town ran that project for the food cycler.
Yes.
We became part of that. What a slick unit. And is it ever doing exactly what it's built to do?
I never got one. So.
And we're very pleased with it.
Okay, good.
Very pleased with it.
Yeah, no, that's important.
Yeah.
And I guess we could talk about, we have been working hard to get practical nursing here.
Yes.
That is something that's been talked about. We missed it 2 years ago.
Pre-pandemic.
Yes, we missed it. It went to Verdun or something.
No, it went out to Arberg, I think.
Yes, you're right, Arberg. Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Yes, we did a really solid presentation.
So anyhow, they have offered it to this time. It's all contingent now on us just crossing our T's, dotting our I's. We're really close, and actually, this is just, nothing's ever written in stone with the government, but we believe if we get 2, we'll get 4, like 4 years. And you train 25 students every time. So
and I actually sit on that local committee with the RHA and the town and that. And yes, it's very exciting. How are we ever going to staff a brand new hospital of the size they're talking about if we do not have access to the professionals we need?
Absolutely.
Nurses, doctors, definitely RNs, healthcare aides,
technicians.
There's a whole enough. Yes, and maintenance. You're looking at that will be our second largest industry.
It will be. Maryland Crew, our EDO says that it's the second industry we've been looking for.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful for the area, the region, but it's going to take some time to build. Speaking of that, we still don't have an announcement of where it is.
No, we do not. I think everybody at the council table, everybody in our administration office, and you know what, I understand. At the end of the day, we've moved forward. The planning board moved forward. The town of Neepawa moved forward. It's been zoned. It's there. It's all. Anyone that wants to research it can see exactly where it's occurring. It's challenging for the town to not be disappointed in our government, right? Because unfortunately, when these things take this long, people think that something is occurring that somehow isn't proper.
As opposed to it's just simply part of the process and it's a waiting
They wonder
game.
What's going on here, like what happened here, right? Like what, and it's December 10th. That's when Audrey Gordon was here and Minister Stevenson.
Was it really December 10th?
Yeah.
That's almost a year.
Yes. Yes. So
3/4 of a year ago.
Yes. So it's unfortunate. But you know what? I keep telling everybody when I have that discussion, yes, we can talk about that, but guess what? We're getting a brand new 63-bed hospital. So, that's wonderful. And it will occur. And it's happening, and it's already had the contractors been approved.
Question, I don't know to what details you know of this, but for example, will that include places like Gladstone as well?
I talked to Mayor Kinley there, Scott, and Scott goes, we're in the perfect world now, because he says Neepawa is getting a new hospital and Portage is getting a new hospital. So he said, because right now they go to Portage. But
because they're in Southern Health, but really it's half the distance here.
So no, you're right, it's interesting.
And when you're looking at emergency room here.
Yep, 24-hour,
Yeah, it's exciting. It's 5 to 8 years to final culmination where it's at where it should be, or they hope it will be. Yeah. But it's needed for the area. The area is not getting smaller. We're getting more people coming in Minnedosa, more people moving in and other things. We've just had that huge hog plant grand opening up out of Plumas. It's a massive structure.
Yeah, 30. Scott was just telling me about it. 35 million, I think he said. It was a huge number, anyhow. Whatever it is.
It's a huge barn.
Yeah, that's what
huge.
He said. Yeah, no, good for them.
So there's a lot happening in our area.
Yeah, and you know what? And I said that I was sitting at a table yesterday that they were discussing healthcare, and I just said, you know what? It's so great that a town of 6,000 people is getting a brand new hospital. I mean, that just doesn't occur in Manitoba anymore. I mean, it's big centers. It's Selkirk, it's Dauphin, it's Brandon, it's Portage. But I mean, we're getting one in the town of Neepawa, which goes to show exactly how the province views this area, right?
Well, because it's Neepawa. Neepawa makes sense because it's got the largest population within this area. But it means that there are things happening in the outside communities and areas as well. Yeah. People are coming in. Yeah. They're looking at those kinds of things.
And High Life still wants to get bigger. And I mean, I think eventually, and if you want to say the hospital is a second industry, we are going to get a third industry. It's coming. It's absolutely coming. We're going to get something at some point, and we're ready for it now. We have our lagoon is ready to go. There's a few hiccups on some of the computer stuff, but it's ready to go, and we can go up to, I don't know, you'd have to spend more money, but you could get to 12 or 15,000 on the lagoon population. So that's a done deal.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the new water treatment plant doubles our capacity. Still not a lot, but again, we're already moving forward. And again, thank you to the administration office. One of the problems we're having right now is the wells. And the wells are getting iron on them, down when they're in the aquifer. So we have to shut them down, we have to maintain them. And then you lose the ability to have 2 or 3 wells running at one time. So we've asked for another well, and it's not because we need more water, it's so we can do more servicing. So you can do the servicing. And those things are over $1 million a pop now.
Well, the other thing is, too, when you're looking at the wells, and I, having lived in the aquifer for a number of years, soft water softeners. Yeah. Deal with the issue. Yeah. Is there an option to look at a huge water softening process that comes in?
You know what, they're trying to figure it out why, and they don't know why it's occurring there. And we've had experts in there, like people that this is what they do for a living, and they don't understand why this iron content is clogging the filters. They just can't figure it out, right?
Well, is it in combination with the manganese? Because where we were in the aquifer, iron wasn't an issue, manganese
so maybe that's what it is.
And it's gummy, it's gunky.
Yeah, so anyhow, but they seem to have spotted locations where the next well is going to go, it seems to be. But again, that's just being way ahead.
But that's just part of what you're needing to deal with when you're looking after a town and meeting the needs.
And we've also signed on, like we've already discussed, the province is asking us if we were interested in any water that's coming from the Assiniboine, right? Because it's got the Gladstone now, and it's getting to Plumas, and we said absolutely. Maybe we don't need it, but if it could get here, maybe High Life would be interested in it, right? Because, I mean, High Life's going to...
I think it's forward thinking to say, okay, we got an opportunity, yes, bring it in. Yeah. It's there if we need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not saying, suddenly, desperately we need it. Now we needed to get it here.
So, we're good to go there. So now we're ready for that.
So they're going to bring water up too.
I think, you see, the problem is, and I don't know this, Don, I'm not knowledgeable enough, but I think they'd have to put another upgrade into Gladstone to push it here. So, and I think that's why they're having this
station, lift station.
Yeah. So that's the discussion they're having. So.
Well, and you've got it's true because when you're starting at Gladstone, you're starting to climb.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you don't realize it until you actually what the rise in elevation between Gladstone and here.
I know.
And here and the bottom of the escarpment and then up on the escarpment.
Franklin is so high from there, right? I know.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I should go back to the roads just a minute and say, don't forget, we did do a bunch of micro sealing again this year, which, I think it's worked out pretty well.
You know what? The one you did on Brown, I thought weathered very well over the winter.
And now we've done some up at the north end, right? Yeah. We did Elizabeth. No, we didn't do Elizabeth. We did Whitmore and some other streets around. But I thought I think it's a great idea.
Is that with your asphalt recycler?
No, this is a completely separate company that comes in.
Okay.
The asphalt recycler is just that is too small a unit to do.
Oh, that just deals with patches and stuff. Okay.
Yeah. And then so that's.
And you had some truck running around town.
Yes, and that
doing that. What's that? It's calcium or something?
No, it sprays asphalt and stone.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and we had it here last year.
Okay.
It'd be interesting to see what the next council decides. I know Denis says, and this is just him talking because he's always forward thinking. He's saying for what it costs, and if we think it's a value, he says we should buy one. because he says what we're spending for and what we could buy it for. I don't know what it is, but so anyhow, that's something.
So it's merely to sort of cover off certain spots, to add an extra layer.
Yeah, like you got like they came to my end of town, but they just run up and down every street, right? And they just and certain holes they can't fill, but if they see the hole, they just spit in the stone and the asphalt, and then they move on. Yeah, so we did that.
Well, back to the concept of saying, why are we subcontracting out when there are certain things that we can do with our existing maintenance staff?
Yeah, anything that we're contracting out is too big. Like it's just too big.
Yeah.
It's just
and that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like snow plowing, that kind of stuff, bringing it back into the folds of the community, I think made good sense.
Oh, having our 2 local contractors do that, it's just a wonderful. I don't think I've heard one yip about that. No, it's worked really well. And I don't think I've heard any complaints about our garbage pickup lately. Like.
Honestly,
no, I think
they're regular. They're there.
Yeah.
There was that challenge early on, and they added another truck, and that's not an issue.
No, they were good. The guy, whoever the owner is, or one of the owners, they came to the table. They apologized. They said, you know what, we thought this would work, and it's not working, and we're going to add a truck. They were. I couldn't. Sometimes you go, oh yeah, this is going to because we got a contract, and there's going to be a discussion, and no, they were perfect. So I was very impressed with them.
Well. I must admit, they're usually on time.
Yep, they're usually on time.
It's clean.
Yep.
They understand their routes. They seem to do well.
Yeah. No, I'm very happy with that. Yeah. What else are we been doing at the table? Obviously, we're kind of coming to a standstill. I think, and I said that to the new, the council that's running again, and to whoever is going to step up for council. Housing is still going to be the number one.
I was just going to say that's something I wanted to bring up in terms of the housing. You met some challenges in your past 4 years, but what's happened is more and more need.
More and more need and less opportunity for the town to engage. That's the problem, right? Because, we did our CN property, and I continue to go back to that because I know there's always been some concerns about how many people are living in our town. And I always point to that and say, when given the opportunity, citizens in Neepawa want to own their own house. And we built, we didn't build, but we had 45 available lots there, and poof, they got sold and houses got built. So it's not that people don't want to live in their own houses and have a better lifestyle. It's because they have no place to go.
Yes.
And so now the town is down to 2 lots left on the Eastview Hill, Lodge Hill, and we can do 11 more in there. But again, with supply chain issues and timelines, Denis was hoping to start this fall. Like we're going to continue that road through there. It'll hook back on to whatever that street is that goes by the swimming pool. And we can do 11 lots there. But then that's it. We're done. The town has no available land.
And I know that there are 2 developers sitting on 100+ lots, modular ability to do that out behind the water tower.
Crescent Creek. Yeah.
Crescent Creek, okay. And there's also lots for Braze.
Braze.
But neither are showing any kind of action
No,
right
and
now,
I think Braze have been pretty forward about it. I think Braze have just said at the moment they just don't think it's a number they want to spend to develop. So I understand that. That was their position. Crescent Creek disappoints me a little bit because they came in and they had this great plan, and I think it's a very workable plan. And they're high-end modular homes. It's kind of like the adult village that's out there beside Aspen Lee, right? These I think they started 170,000. It's not a trailer court. It's
that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
that's in today's market.
Yeah,
and even in Neepawa, that's more within people's price
absolutely.
point.
And you can go to $250,000 too, depending on what you want. But we don't have to buy the land, right? You rent the land and. So that's the one that really concerns me, and we really thought that's the one that was going to happen, right?
Because we could desperately need another home.
That would really help out our housing issue.
Yeah.
The people that did the building here of the Murray property, they said they'd build another one tomorrow. The 40,
really?
because they say it's full.
It's full.
Well, they didn't say that, but they said that they had such a great response that they're looking to build a second one.
Where would they build that?
Exactly. And that's what they asked us, right? So we gave them a couple options that I can't really discuss, but
fair enough.
Anyhow,
there are options.
Yeah, there are some options.
Okay.
So, and that would be great, right? Because those are rent, and those are rent. You rent them. You don't have to put any money down, and it's any age group that wants to move in there. He said it was interesting. He said, how many floors they got? 4. He said everybody wanted the top floor looking over looking east, right?
My view.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to keep at that. You
No,
know
I'd appreciate
that's
that.
going to be.
Maybe we can get a little, what do we call
well,
those things?
a periscope.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, no, that will be, because you know what, and everybody understands that. In 3 to 4 years, we're going to have more nurses, more doctors, more technicians. High Life wants to get bigger. This has got to be the #1 focus of our town, is how do we get more housing?
I know I had some people from outside talk about knowing it's challenging with housing, and we had, sadly, that fire. Gladly, nobody was hurt.
Yep.
But residents and property was damaged, all that kind of thing. About housing, where do these people go? Now, in this situation, things have happened that's been accommodated. Yep. But new people coming in, it's becoming more and more of a tighter crunch. The project, did I hear rightly recently that High Life has opened one of the units?
No. It's closed.
What's Howden?
It's 126 units. There's 4 of them there. There's whatever that divides into, 32 each, I think, or whatever. I forget. 128, I guess. 32 each. There has been some hiccups again with the supply chain. Yeah. And, of course, because they're very close together, there's fire code issues on terms of whether you can just open one or whether you have to have 2 ready, because it has the same parking lot, has the same, lot of the same.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's an issue. So, yeah, anyhow, we're close, but you're right, and that will make a big difference. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if High Life is, and I mean, we don't know that, and things change on a daily basis, but if they continue to grow, that's probably just going to absorb the people that are coming, right? Like, I'm going to talk to 22 new people tomorrow.
Yes, yes, the orientation session, and that's not going to stop. No. And it may accommodate those, but when those families come over,
then
that's not going to accommodate.
No, it doesn't work, because these things, I didn't really understand how it worked. I thought it was more of a bunkhouse mentality, but it's explained to me that they are in groups of 4 bedrooms with a kitchen and I think a small living room and 2 bathrooms.
Oh, cool.
So they built them so that if the day ever came that they wanted to, they could turn them back into apartments.
Clever.
Yeah. So I didn't. So there must be a living room there. Yeah. I didn't understand that, but yeah, they built them into that so that. Yeah.
Oh, now that is a nicer way of living.
Yeah.
Smaller groups, self-contained.
Yeah, and probably better for the pandemic too, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, no, that would be great to have.
So what's it called? Is it called Howden House?
Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't know it had a name.
Because I was talking to a media person actually just this week.
Okay.
And they had said they received some sort of just recent release this week that one of them, they were open, but that could be something totally different.
No, it's definitely not open yet, because Jeff has not issued the occupancy permit.
So there we go.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's
they probably were talking about something else.
Yeah. But you know, that's right, and I really don't have the solution for that. I mean, you're getting down to expropriation. I mean, that's a word you never want to use in a small town, because that's ugly, and you make a lot of unhappy people. But I really believe the town has a year to 18 months outside tops to have another housing development land underway, whether it be a private developer or whether it's the town again doing it. But I mean, that gives you another 24 to 36 months for the hospital, right? You have to have that in place. You have to have that in place, and that's going to be a big task.
Well, an expropriation, there's a time factor there too, isn't there?
There probably is. You probably do it in a year to 18 months, and I mean, unfortunately, I don't like to use that word. I mean, it's an ugly word, and it creates a lot of unhappy people. But I mean, I'm hoping that we never get there.
Well, the thing is, there are 2 aspects to that I see. One is, excuse me, if it's an absolute necessity. Yeah. And the second is it's change.
Yeah.
It's change.
I know. Anyhow, I think that council. I know council. I know the council will also be. Yeah, and I said that too. You know what? Housing's really important. But you know what? Good for the town. We've spent that. You know, I always talk about that $25 million we spent, right, on infrastructure and RCMP and fire hall and the water treatment plant. And so now I really believe that they can now turn their attention to back to some stuff that the town needs, right? So you know what? We have an aging Yellowhead Arena. And that, I think that is one place they're going to have to look at. And maybe there's other types of recreation out there. I don't know. I mean, basketball is such a big thing. I mean, now that the pandemic is over, the Filipino community, I was just being told here by some of the Neepawa banner staff, they've got 24 teams again. And
they're huge.
Yeah, huge. So I think the town needs to kind of change. And I know that doesn't happen overnight, but you have to start building the pot for that, right? So, I mean, and you look at the infrastructures that have been built in Portage and Brandon and Dauphin. And you know, it's always a three-way split. You're going to get the federal government, provincial government, and the town of Neepawa, and it's shared three ways. So if you spent $30 million or $25 million, the town would have to spend $8 to $10 million. So it's you know, the numbers aren't as huge. It's not as scary as they can sound, right? I mean, we spent $12 million on a lagoon. So, you know, they sound like big numbers, but in the world we live in now, I mean,
it's worthwhile investment. It's not like you're spending it on a community that's every year decreasing in population.
Exactly. So
we're the other way around.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things that's going to, I know we're very lucky to have Marilyn Crew, EDO. I mean, she's always been very good about, you know, putting those things forward, and I think that's going to be, so I think the next 4 years will be about housing. It'll be about how we're going to maybe increase our recreational opportunities here.
Well, you have a challenge with the Yellowhead Arena because that's privately owned, right?
Yeah.
That's not owned by the town.
No, it's not owned by the town, but it's a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, so at the end of the day, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. It's not ours, but I think at the end of the day, if we were to, if we could do something, I'm sure they would say, well, here, you know, well, yeah, that's a good question, Don. I don't know that. We have had that discussion before, and we have talked about if we're going to continue to support it. You know, what is the hook for us to support it, right? If we're going to give you a third of your budget or 40% of your budget, then what's the hook for us to continue to be engaged, right?
Well, I guess the fiduciary responsibility of the town also has to look at the fact, so if we do, are we just throwing money away into a ongoing expense that doesn't have at least a break-even point? Right. And that's a big challenge because it is a visible point in the community. Yeah. Maybe not as the Yellowhead Hall probably sees a lot of action, but the rink attendance isn't like it was 20 years ago.
No, it's changed. No, you're absolutely right, and I don't have the answer to that.
No, I'm not suggesting you do it's just something we have to factor in.
But these complexes are so much more than just an arena now, right?
Oh, they are,
There's walking paths, and there's big conference rooms, and there's...
Like, a lot of the new rec complex have those conference rooms built in. Look at the one in Minnedosa. That's used an awful lot for conferences and a variety of things.
And I think we could have basketball courts in there.
We could, certainly could.
Because, I mean, we are a province of 6 months of winter, right? So 7 months of winter. So I mean, I think that you're right. I think because of the fact of the makeup of our community now, with our high Filipino population and the things they like, I think that would be the challenge as to how that new building is going to look. But it's got to get on the table at some point.
Well, and other things like even our seniors are more engaged.
Yeah.
Who knew that pickleball would be the thing it is now 10 years ago?
I know, and maybe that.
I mean, it was happening, but wow, and the number of people I say, you need to come out and join the pickleball. Holy cow.
And then maybe it could be indoor too, right? I mean, so anyhow, we'll see. So I think that, yeah, I mean, that's, I mean, that is, I mean, I said that, and I said it at the table again the other night. It's a really fine balancing act, right? Because we have such a good administration staff, and they're so capable of seeing the future, knowing what we need, whether it be a well, whether we need this street finished up or this new water and sewer put in. We know we need a new housing development. But I always say there are people that are living here every day, right? So there are people who are raising their families, going to work. And then you got the senior citizens who are, who have done their job and now are retired and just want to live their life and enjoy their life, but want to feel comfortable in the area they're in and don't think there's going to be too much change or there's going to be something they don't like. And then we have this huge Filipino immigration, people coming to our town, and they just want to become, they just want to grow who they are, right, and become the new citizens of Canada. So. But that's occurring every day, and I think that's the most tricky thing for a town to do is, right? You've got to engage those people, and say that yes, we know that you're just living, and you just want to have your life, and you want to see these things occurring, Whereas, you know, we have these 20-year plans. Well, I won't be here in 20 years, right? So, you know, I'm kind of more interested in, you know, what's happening next year or the next year after that, right? So I think that is the struggle any fast-growing town has, I believe.
Well, and I think also we have to talk about the fact that 20 years ago, Neepawa had a very fixed existence.
Absolutely.
And it was very much a prime target for retirement.
Absolutely.
I've talked to recently local individuals planning to retire had to go to another community. There wasn't any housing.
No, there was no housing.
And also the dynamic, we are no longer that small, rustic, bucolic community that is a nice place to retire. Beautiful golf course.
Yeah.
Now, that's not the dynamic anymore.
No,
there's industry, there's activity, there's growth, there's change, there's building, there's schools, and we need more schools right away. You know, that dynamic has changed. So I think the Neepawa of 25 years ago today looks a lot different.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's no longer the Neepawa of 25 years
ago. No,
ago.
it's completely different. And I mean, I'm comfortable with that. I mean,
you either grow or die.
Yeah, that's exactly correct.
And I think Neepawa may not be have been moving in that direction very quickly, but it was moving.
Well, you know what they always say: if you're standing still, you're going backwards.
Yeah.
And I mean, Neepawa was kind of at that stage for quite a while, right? So no, I think this is great. But I just think it's. I think that's what I mean, maybe I've got one more council chat, I'm not sure. But I mean, that's the one thing I learned on my council, right, is that there's so much pressure on councils to try to deliver what the people of the community want, right? But you always have to balance that with the budget, right? So you know what, we could have, you know, we spent a lot of money. We spent $8 million on a new RCMP build and a new fire hall, right?
Yeah.
Well, just think if we had taken that $8 million and put it in the streets.
Yeah.
You know, we would have done probably the majority of our streets with $8 million. Yeah. But we'd have an old fire hall that you couldn't get our new truck in. You'd have to park it in someplace. And of course the new RCMP would be, you know, people would be going, why do I want to move to Neepawa and be an RCMP officer when I got to work out of this building? I can't even open the door in the garage to take my prisoner out. You know, so yeah. So I mean, those are the balancing acts you have, and I think that's the most difficult thing I've learned is that. And people will buy into that for a while. They'll say, okay, well, I understand that. So now we've had this 10-year spurt, though, where we spent all this infrastructure money. And I think people are going, okay, now we've got all that infrastructure money. So now maybe it's time to start thinking about what we're going to create here inside the community.
This is a lovely segue, because I wanted to take some time with this to talk about you and your 4-year term. And I'm going to ask just a couple of questions, and we see where it goes from there. So, given what you know now, if you knew that then, would you have run for mayor?
Yeah, actually, I might have run earlier.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good, interesting thing.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I had no expectations. I'll be honest. I ran because I thought community involvement had somehow wasn't as, it just didn't seem to be as engaged as it should be, and I really wanted to try to turn that around.
Have you?
Yes and no. You know what, and I've said this before, I probably said it here. What you run for is not what you end up doing. So, you know, and I've told that to a lot of people who run for council too. Just, you know, if you're coming with a certain position, like I want to do this, and a lot of people like that, whether, you know, I want to have an indoor pool, or I want to have more community involvement, or I want to have a new arena. Once you get there, it all changes. Because you're driven by what's occurring in your town, right? And I mean, as a town that in 2009 was 3,300 people, and our next census will be over 7,000. So, you know, we're going to have doubled in 15, 16 years, right? So what you wanted to do didn't occur. I think what I learned was it's hard, and that's where council comes in. And I really believe this, and that's the one thing I have learned after 4 years. I really think council has the ability to remind administrations and to remind people who are trying to make our town bigger and better that community wants to be engaged. Like we had that occur up at the golf course, right? We had a group of people come in and they were worried about the new hospitals being built up there, and it was being zoned into being multi-use, so it could be a new arena, it could be a school, it could be a 10-plex, it could be a 12-plex, it could be row housing. And they came in saying, you know what, we're just a little uncomfortable with this, and we'd really much be happier if you could give us a plan of what was going to happen before it occurred, right? Like, I mean, we have a plan from the Braes, we have a plan from Crescent Creek. Anyhow, that didn't occur. But what I did like was, though, that it was a good discussion. They came in, they had some really good, really positions, and it was a vote of 4-3 at the council table. But again, it just goes to show that I really believe the council now understands it has to engage the community. So the community is not always going to get what it wants, but at least they had the opportunity to come forward.
Well, and I think that's the important piece. Action without consultation.
Yes.
Is not a good thing.
No, it's not a good thing. No, I agree. So I do think that we moved the needle on that a little bit. I was very lucky. I had such a good council. I mean, I had a council that, I've talked to other municipalities, and I mean, there can be some pretty unpleasant things happen at those tables behind closed doors and what goes on. And, we had none of that, not even for a single second. Had a very respectful council, a very respectful administration staff. I was so fortunate to have that type of 4 years.
Well, and also too, and we've spoken at this venue before on more than one occasion. Some of the initial foundational blocks were built by previous council.
Absolutely.
And you were able to go forth and really operationalize a lot of the things that they laid some groundwork for, which I thought was good thinking, as opposed to saying, well, let's go back. Like we've seen our federal government do so many times.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm new here. We're going to take 2 years to go back, and just because we don't like what you decided. It was a testament, and there has been, when you start listing off a number of things done. It's been interesting.
It's been interesting, and you know what? When I said maybe I would have run sooner, I really think it would have been nice to do 8 years.
Yeah.
But I'm 73, and I would have run again if I thought that I would have been the only person that could have carried the town. Maybe that sounds a little self-serving, but when I had Deputy Mayor Headley say that, he was very interested in, and he was very good. He just said, Blake, you know what, if you want to be mayor for another 4 years, go for it. But I said, Brian, I mean, and maybe he would have had opposition. I didn't know that at the time. There would have been another person running, but I just thought, when you have that new generation that wants to step up, it's tough to leave, because I'm talking about all these things we're doing, and in a month I'll be shut out from it, right? I mean, my email will disappear.
Yeah,
my email will
very
disappear,
different, because you're right in the thick of things, and then suddenly you're not.
And suddenly you're not.
That level of engagement changes and that kind of thing.
But that's life, and I mean, I did say in one of the people I was talking to, I have loved my 25 years at Touchwood. Volunteering there, and you know what? We're still butting heads with our provincial government on what I think is being fair-minded when it comes to financial support from our government. And I know they've done more and they've done better, but they can do a lot better yet. And I really think I really learned that in my 4 years on council. Political persuasion makes a big difference. So, I learned a lot of contacts and a lot of things, how to operate inside that system. So I think I can bring that over to Touchwood.
And that's the thing, I guess, perhaps as civilians, for want of a better word, we're not really privy to those machinations, and the fact that it's not just here the council making decisions about Neepawa, for the Neepawa citizens. It's also, to make those decisions, they engage with so many other levels of government, other organizations and agencies, that it's not just simply, we're going to do this and there we go. It's, well, we want to do this, but we need to get this permission, or we need to get that code done, or we need to get feedback on this. And sadly, all of that takes time. So if you had your own devices, you might say, right, we're going to start it 3 weeks from now. It's more like, well, maybe 3 years. By the time it takes, it's very frustrating.
Yeah, and again, it always goes back to administration, right? I mean, and again, I've talked to lots of other councils now and lots of other municipalities, and they all say the same thing. The strength of any organization is your CEO. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's a municipality or a town. It's always the strength of your CEO, because they have all that information. And if you don't have and it's not even their fault sometimes. Sometimes they're new, right? I mean, obviously people retire, and you get someone new, so they have to learn. But I mean, we're so fortunate in Neepawa to have Colleen, who has just understands the government workaday world so much, and how I mean, the grants that this town has got. I mean, it's just unbelievable how many grants we've got.
Well, the recognition that they're actually out there, and you go for them, and they're there for a reason. They're there for people to apply for.
Absolutely.
And if you meet the criteria, you'll get support funding.
Yeah.
You're right. Watching the town over the years, the past few years, the number of grants they've been able to access has really been rewarding, because the price figure you're looking at may be ameliorated by the fact that you've also got 50% or more chunks of grant money that don't come out of our local citizens' pockets.
So I really respect them for that. So yeah, no, it's I learned lots. I mean, it was a really big learning curve. It's no different than owning your own business. I mean, 99% of the people you deal with are really good. I mean, that they understand that nothing's ever going to be quite perfect. If you have an issue, that you're going to take care of it. You just have to be a little patient. But there's always that 1%, right? That is always going to think that they knew better before you even had the problem, and they knew better how to fix the problem, and that's just nature of the beast.
So tell me something. As you look back in your 4 years, what weren't you able to accomplish that you would have liked to?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess, you know what, I don't know how to fix this, because it's just the way the system's built. But we are a council of 6 plus a mayor, so there's 7 people. But except for myself and Murray in this particular council, everybody had a get up and go to job. So it's difficult to engage your councillors, because I mean, at the end of the day, they have to make a living. So I mean, good for them. They sit on the committees, and they come to the meetings every 2 weeks. But I don't know how to get there. You can't ask them to give up more of their time, because it's really, I mean, people look say they get paid. Well, it's a volunteer position for what they get paid. So that's the one thing and I don't know how to fix it, but I would like to see councils have more of and maybe that can be done now. We kind of learned that in the medical system now. Maybe we can do that more through the technology now, right? More daily emails that would go out or something, going, this is what's occurring at the town office today, right? Or this is what I want you to start thinking about, because we're thinking about this. The problem is that you really only have that time every 2 weeks to sit. And we sit for 2 hours before the council meeting, and sometimes we'll sit for an hour after. So that's 3 hours, and good for them. I mean, it's a long day, and everybody's got to get up and go to work again tomorrow. But if you could somehow have them more engaged on a daily basis, that would be.
Well, I think you're always going to struggle when you have people who have full-time jobs.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's where you get youth and energy and ideas. The other alternative is only retired people. Now you get the benefit of experience, knowledge. It's finding that balance. It could be that perhaps if you said 3 positions can be full-time work positions.
That would be, I never got to that, Don, but I always thought about that. I always thought that the town at some point, I mean, we're going to be a city someday, right? So,
you look at city councilors, that's a full-time job.
That's an absolutely full-time job, And even if it was just a half-time job, I think some of our councillors would go, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe not. I don't know. I've I've looked at Brandon, I've looked at Winnipeg. Mayors get paid 4 times what a councillor makes, because and I do agree with that now that I've been there for 4 years. Mayors do a lot of the heavy lifting, and I think that would be the first step here in Neepawa, is to say to the people, we're going to pay you this salary, but then we expect you to be probably a half-time mayor, right? We're going to create an office for you. You're going to be there for certain hours of the day. You're going to engage with the public, and these hours will be your hours. I mean,
well, and I think that's probably not unreasonable, because then anybody going into the position is well aware. because I know you've mentioned here you didn't understand the workload.
No, I did not.
When you first came
and you create your own workload too.
Yeah.
I mean, you do create your own workload. I mean, you kind of bring your work ethic. I'm not saying I was overly ambitious, but you kind of bring your work ethic from your previous jobs, right?
Yeah.
And if you had that work ethic, you just carry it in. So.
Well, that's anything else? We've got a slate of candidates.
Yes.
The mayor is in by acclamation.
Yeah.
But we have 9 for 6 positions. Is that correct?
Okay, so we got 4 from the original council. We got Jason Nadeau, we got Maranka, Kostenchuk, we got Daryl Gerard, and we got Murray Parrott. So those are the 4 there. And then a new
That's 5, isn't it?
No, 4, because Brian's mayor.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got 4, because
Okay.
Darren Pudlow didn't run,
Yeah.
and Brian's moved up.
Okay.
So then we got Yvonne Sicily, Yvonne Doble, we got Lisa Pottinger, we got Marianne, I'm sorry I don't know her last name, she's the manager at Safeway, we got Brian Elgart, and we got Dean Dietrich.
Okay. Yeah. Both Dean and Lisa have served on council in the past.
Yes, no, which is good. It's nice to see that they want to come back. So maybe that means they looked at our council for the last 4 years and go, yeah, I don't know, maybe I'd like to be, I don't know. Yeah, so that was good.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm going to be listening. The ones that we've known in there, I'll be interested to see what they're carrying forward with.
Yeah.
And the other ones, the new ones, to see what they're going to see, because you've spoken at length about the what's the word I can use? This council is being very open, engaging, and communicative.
I think so. Yeah.
And I know that in councils past, that's not been the case.
Correct.
And so anybody coming in has to be prepared to sit in and mix. Otherwise, it just becomes more of a thorn than anything that's functional. And I suspect from my talks with everybody this past 4 years, functionality is the important piece.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't want a council that bickers and goes back and forth
and
talks about the same issue and hems and haws.
Yeah.
You need to make a decision. You need to make action.
Yep, I agree 100%.
And I think in years past, when Neepawa's been that fairly stable, that may have sufficed, but I don't see that sufficing now. Too many things are happening too quickly. Decisions need to be made, can't be put off.
Like, I think what I learned was, you know what, mayors do have a lot of power at the table. I think people do listen to the mayor, but I also said you're one vote.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, you all put your position forward. You all have it, and you can be angry. You can even say I think you're wrong and I disagree with you. But once that vote's done, I mean, if it's a 4-3, if it's a 6-1, it's done.
Yeah.
So and you just have to move on. You have to say, okay, this was the decision of the council. That's what we're here for. We will support that decision, and we'll move forward to the next. And I think that was our council is really good at that. You know what? We had some discussions at the table where people went, I think you're making a mistake. I think it's wrong. I think you're going to but it was done and you move on. And that's the only way, because if you carry that forward, then it doesn't work, right?
Well, then it just, it accumulates.
Yeah.
It doesn't ever remain the same. It just gets more worse. It just gets worse. And you want to avoid that at all costs. You can.
So it's really been the closer it gets, the sadder I get, right? Because I keep thinking, oh, did you make the right decision, Blake? But no, I did. You know what? 4 years is a very long time. You want to, as you get to a certain age, you want to be able to give your best. Yeah. And if as you slide up in years, it's more difficult to have those hours of engagement every day. Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, I think it's been what you could call a very good run for the whole council.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Neepawa, I'm just stating a personal opinion here from my observation, it was the right council to have in place at the right time.
I think that's a good way of putting it. I kind of agree with you, Don.
They were ready, they were responsive, they saw what the need was, they were progressive thinking, they were thinking about the community. Yeah. And I just hope we can continue in that vein. That has a lot to do with the success of a community.
Absolutely. I think you're going to get a really strong core of the existing council back. Yeah. And I think the new additions will bring new blood into it. So I think I've already...
Well, and as time and time again, you said it, Eve said it, the RCMP have said it, other people within that have come through and sat in the chair here over the past 5 years, you have a very good administrative staff.
Absolutely.
They seem to be on the spot. They give you the information, and as you pointed out again today, they're the core of what makes the town run.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, you are right.
All right, I'm going to give you an opportunity.
Okay.
To now that you're leaving.
Okay.
Okay. Take a couple of minutes and say exactly what you think.
About?
Anything. Anything.
I don't know what that
frustrations, positive things. I mean, it's not going to come back to haunt you because you're done shortly. So.
I think we talked before we went on air, right? I said, there's probably a couple of things I would like to say, but as my administration said to me, Blake, be careful, right? We still have to get up and go to work tomorrow. So,
good point.
You know what? I've always been very good at seeing the sun coming up tomorrow. I've always used that in my business. No matter how bad things are got, the sun was going to come up tomorrow. I mean, there has been things I've found frustrating over the 4 years. You know what? It's difficult to, you're in your first term and you're learning. It's difficult to challenge people who have got 10 or 15 years experience on you. Because, you're going to probably second guess yourself a little bit. It would be a catch-22 because I think if I ran a second term, I might be a little more black and white about what I wanted. But then I don't know if it'd be as a reasonable counsel. I don't know if that's the right way of putting it or not.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
okay.
You might be just tempted to say, well, I'm smarter now, right? So I know this is the right decision. Well, no, not necessarily.
It's still a decision by consensus.
Yes, it's still a decision by consensus.
It can't be a one-man show.
Yeah.
In fairness to everybody, there's too much opportunity for a bias to set in. It needs to be present your case. Let's have the discussion, and then let's vote. And as you said, once the vote's done, everybody walks away and carries on.
Yeah.
And doesn't have sour grapes and grumble and mumble and do all
I think okay. So maybe I would close by saying that I owned my own business for 35 years, and then I've been part of Touchwood for 25 and the council for 4. There's such a difference between running your own business and being part of any government institution, right? Mm-hmm. Because when you own your own business, you can make your own decision. You can say, this is what I'm going to do. You may disagree with it, and it may be a disaster, but it's a decision I can make because it's my business. And then once you get into that government world, you may still think you have the best idea, and you may think it's going to work, but as you say, you're just one vote. So you know what? You have to accept that you can't make that final decision. It has to be a decision that's based on those 4 votes, right? And that's probably the biggest thing I think I found was that there's a lot of compromise that goes on. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just the way it works.
Okay. Some simple words of advice for new people on the on any council. Just a couple of suggestions.
I think I've told that to a couple of councils already. What you run for is not what you're going to actually end up talking about. I really believe that. I think don't forget that you represent the community. I think that's the most important thing I would tell any new councillor. You know what? You are the people that are on the ground. You work in your community. You talk to people in the community. And if you've got to remember, yes, those big shiny buildings are important, and those 20-year goals to build those new projects are important. But people are living their lives day to day, and you've got to remember that this community wants to know that you have their back.
Okay. Well, listen, I want to thank you for the 4 years that you put in as our mayor. It's been a delight speaking to you and the other council people that have come through these chairs over the past 4 years. I really like the fact of being able to talk to other people and other community people like our RCMP sergeant at the time, Mark Morehouse.
Don't forget Eve.
Well, he's Eve. Yeah, who could ever forget Eve? I mean,
our fire chief.
Or having the two of them together was just a delight. But it's been very much a pleasure. Learned an awful lot. A lot has come out of this conversation about the inner workings, the dynamics, some of the challenges and issues that we as lay people don't really understand. So thank you for that. And thank you, people, for tuning in. I hope you did. We've been speaking with our last conversation, I suspect, with our, maybe not, maybe one more.
We'll see. It might be.
We'll see.
Yeah,
but
we'll see. Yeah.
We'll take it as that with our mayor for the last 4 years, Blake McCutcheon. I think you've had a really good run. I think a lot of exciting things have happened. I think there are a lot of exciting things ahead for our community.
Correct.
And once again, if you have any questions you want me to present to the people who come and sit here that we talk to, please let us know at NACTV. Call, indicate what your question is or your concern, and I will raise it with whoever comes forward. So once again, thank you for watching us. I hope you've all had a great summer. Look forward to a beautiful fall as we move, hopefully gently, through our seasons. But once again, from Don Walmsley here at NACTV and Council Checkup, have a great day. Thank you. Bye.